Hello, my name is Patrick. I'm with the Office of Secretary of State, Corporations and Charities Division. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about filing, registering, and recording with the Secretary of State. To start off, what does the Secretary of State do? Well, a good example is we register 70% of all new businesses in Washington State. That means corporations or LLCs, specifically LLCs, which are the majority of our filings. We file public records as presented by the customer. We're ministerial. We do not have a regulatory or enforcement role. So if there's a discrepancy between a business and a customer or between business to business, those are things that would be handled civilly. It's not something that the office has authority to intervene on. Our primary role is to hold public records for inspection. Some of our other programs include the Charities Program, where people are raising money from the public for a charitable purpose. Aposties, which is the certification of documents for foreign use. That could be things like a birth certificate, school records, marriage records, things like that. State level trademarks, which are a way to register ownership of a slogan or a logo that's specific to your business within Washington. And we do have some other programs as well. So why is the Secretary of State different from other regulatory agencies that you might have to deal with or local jurisdictions? One of those items is registering with the Secretary of State creates a legal entity that is separate from the ownership. It creates a public record that is widely used by the courts and financial institutions. A good example of that is as a new business, when you go to open up a new bank account or get a line of credit, then the bank is often going to want to see your filing with the Secretary of State if you claim to be a corporation or an LLC. Without filing the public record, the corporation or LLC may not legally exist. So some steps to create the legal entity. One is prepare. Make sure you have completed your research, your business plan, and utilize the many planning resources available. Choose a legal name for the entity. It must be different than anything already on public record with the Secretary of State. For example, being plural or having Inc. versus corporation or corporation versus LLC, those do not make it distinguishable. It has to be within the name itself. Another step is determine a duration. It can be perpetual and ongoing, which is common, or a specific date in the future if you have contract or partnership needs that require a future date for the business to end. The effective date can be at the time of filing, or it can be at a time up to 90 days in the future. It's important to really keep track of that because at the time of filing is the common one that's used. Because if you're delaying it up to 90 days in the future, you have to really be aware that there could be a gap in the time that you need that document versus the specific date that was provided when it becomes effective. Another one is to identify your principal office. This is commonly referred to as where records are kept. You're going to have two key address requirements in this process, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a moment. And here's actually, this is one of the biggest parts, is designating a registered agent. This is a name that will be public record. The address will as well. So if you're using a home address, you want to be aware that when you provide that as a registered agent, you will also be providing your address to the public. The registered agent can be anyone that consents to be the agent, and they have no additional authority in the business beyond receiving and forwarding legal documents. It can be in addition to being a governor or a member of an organization, but ideally the registered agent themselves is a specific duty. The designee or the registered agent should be available during normal business hours. An agent service or service companies could be hired to fill this role. Part of what that means is that a registered agent, you have to have somebody available during normal business hours to receive your legal documents. When the registered agent receives that legal document, they are then responsible to get that to the proper people at the business. Now, the address used must be a physical address in Washington. No PO boxes or PMBs or business address rentals from UPS stores or other rental options. Those are things that are not classified with the Postal Service as a physical address. They still show up as a PMB or PO box in most cases. Even if it doesn't right away, it may in subsequent years when you file. So it can be a challenging part for registered agents. Again, whether or not you choose to use somebody external to the business to represent that. I don't know the specifics of cost, but my understanding it could be as little as $40 a year and on up from there, depending on what services you subscribe to. Another step you'll have in establishing a legal entity is the initial report. At the time of your original formation, you can also submit your initial report, which includes things like the nature of business, the governors, which are the people responsible to make decisions and have been vested with authority in the business. It's a generic, governor is a generic term that's used for all position types like president, vice president, member, manager, things like that. Those are all considered a governor. There's also an opportunity to opt in to email only notifications and eliminating the paper having to go back and forth between the Secretary of State's office and the business. Another step is you're going to want to identify the executor of the documents. And this is actually a simple portion of it. This is where the person completing the documents and forming the business is the one that would sign on as the executor or executor. They have no other authority beyond the preparation and filing of the business. So here's another big one, and this is the annual report. It's an informational annual report due the anniversary month of every year. So if you file in March, then by the end of March every year, you have to file an annual report for your legal entity, even if there has not been any activity throughout that year. We do send reminder notices. They're sent on the first of the previous month. So if you are due in March, we're going to send you a reminder notice the beginning of February. If by email, that notice will come out automatically on the 1st. If you are still receiving paper, you'll receive the email. And then in addition to that, you'll receive the paper about 2 weeks or so later. And it will give you the time, how to file and the timeline in which it must be received. And your reports can contain basic updates like principal office, registered agent, nature of business, things that we discussed on the initial report process. It's also a current list of governors. One of these annual reports is required every year, even if there are no changes. When you have changes to your legal entity during the course of the year, there are a few ways you can make updates to the public record. One can be an amendment. Amendments can be made to the original documents to change things like duration or the number of shares, a name change, and other structural adjustments that need to be made. Amended annual reports can be filed if there's more than 6 months before the expiration date. The amended report can be used to update anything on the annual report. And if the annual report is due within 6 months, you can choose to file it early and make those updates, which will also satisfy your filing requirement through the following year. So here's how to contact our office with questions. The website, sos.wa.gov/corps. There's a lot of information on that website itself. We also have real chat available. So it's live chat hosted by our customer service team. When you chat, you're chatting with a person, not a bot, and you're going to get answers the same way you would as if you had called into the office. Our general office email is corps@sos.wa.gov. And the phone number for the office is 360-725-0377. So we have a full in-person session at 1 o'clock with what you need to do with what you need to know when filing with the Secretary of State. And I believe that will be in the auditorium. And here's my contact information at patrick.reed@sos.wa.gov, 360-725-0358. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for joining today's session. I am Tanya Dassow. I work for the Department of Revenue Business Licensing Service. In today's session, I will walk you through how to utilize our services when working with the Business Licensing Service program. The Business Licensing Service was created to be a one-stop for business owners to register for Washington state and local licenses. The program partners with more than 95% of Washington cities and towns that offer a general business license. We also partner with 9 state agencies offering nearly 600 license endorsements, representing more than 30 state agency licensing programs. The business can submit one consolidated application for the city and state endorsements needed. Before our program existed, they were required to file an application with the same or similar information to each city and agency. Each department would issue a document allowing them to do the activity they managed. Some examples of the state agency programs are Liquor and Cannabis Board, who handles liquor and cannabis endorsements. Labor and Industry, who handle endorsements for businesses with adult and minor employees. Department of Licensing, who handle endorsements for businesses such as car dealerships, limousines, and travel agencies, to name a few. Almost every business is required to have a unified business identifier, also known as a UBI. This 9-digit number is how state and local government identifies the business. 90% of users apply for and renew their licenses online and pay via credit card, debit card, or e-check. The benefits to the customer are one application to apply for many state and local licenses per location, one license document with all state and local endorsements listed, one annual renewal, payment, and expiration date. Here's a sample city application with multiple state licenses. A Kennewick convenience store submits an online application to register as a Washington state taxpayer with the Department of Revenue. Hire a 17-year-old cashier with Labor and Industries. Sell lotto tickets with Washington State Lottery. Hire adult employees with Employment Security. Sell gasoline from a metered gas pump with Agriculture that is stored in an underground storage tank with the Department of Ecology. Sell beer and wine with Liquor and Cannabis Board, and sell over-the-counter medication with Department of Health through a shopkeeper permit. Now on to licenses and permits. Here's what we'll cover. The licensing wizard, creating a Secure Access Washington, also known as a SAW account, general licensing questions, trade name registrations, hiring plans, and other licenses and permits that may apply. Before I walk you through the steps to file, I want to tell you about a great tool, the Business Licensing Wizard. The wizard will take you through a series of questions. At the end, you'll get a customized list of licenses and permits that are required for your business based on the information you provide. This is a great tool to use before you start the application process because it will tell you all the specific licenses and permits needed. If you are unsure of what kind of business you will open or where it will be located, you can enter multiple scenarios and see what each requires. Note that the wizard doesn't actually register your business, The purpose is just to tell you what you will need to start the registration process with the Department of Revenue and other licensing requirements based off your business activity. Many businesses are mobile, such as contractors, which gives great access for your customers, but adds some complexity for licensing. Most cities where you do business will require that you have a city license with them. So what do you do if you don't know all the cities you will be working in? Get the local license for where you're based and the ones for where you're pretty sure you will travel. You can also add others later by filing a simplified application. It can take a couple weeks for cities to approve, so be sure to apply well before you need the license. The business's physical address is required. If you do not have a storefront, you will need to use the address where you keep your business records, which many times is a home address. One application is required for each physical place of business. For example, chain grocery stores are required to apply for each location they operate at. Most licenses renew annually, so if you won't be starting for several months, you may want to wait. Let's assume you've completed your scenario in the wizard and you have the list of things that you'll need. Your next step is to complete the actual business license application. First, you'll need a Secure Access Washington account, commonly known as a SAW account. If you don't already have one, this is required for the Department of Revenue, as well as other agencies like the Departments of Labor and Industry, Employment Security, Social and Health Services, and licensing. The good news is, once you've created a Secure Access Washington account, you'll be able to use one logon and password across multiple state agencies that you interact with. All businesses use the same MyDOR portal to access services, whether it's applying for or renewing a business license or reporting monthly, quarterly, and annual state taxes. If you don't have one, you'll need to create one and can do so right on the Department of Revenue's website or on the Secure Access Washington portal. Signing up and logging in will take you through the steps for multi-factor authentication, also known as MFA. MFA is a security feature that requires users to verify their identity with more than just a username and password. Banks and many other organizations require MFA to protect unauthorized users from accessing customers' accounts. An authentication code will be immediately sent to the email address or cell phone number associated to the customer. This is a snapshot of Secure Access Washington, or SAW portal. As I mentioned in the previous slide, you can register for a SAW account on the Department of Revenue's website or by going directly to secureaccess.wa.gov. Okay, so you've checked the licensing wizard, you've got yourself a Secure Access Washington user ID. Next, go to our MyDOR help pages for a list of additional questions you'll be asked during the application process. You can find them at dor.wa.gov/apply. It's a good idea to have all the information gathered before you begin your application. If you registered as an LLC or corporation, you'll need the Unified Business Identifier, UBI number, assigned by the Secretary of State before beginning the business license application. If you're a sole proprietorship or a general partnership, the Department of Revenue will assign the UBI through the licensing process. When you file, you'll need to input information about the owners, the business activity, the location of your business, and any cities your business will travel to if it's mobile. If you have more than one location, a separate application is required for each physical address. If your business will be based in city limits, it's likely you'll need a local business license. You'll be able to register with most cities with the business license application. If your business will do work in multiple cities, you'll likely need multiple local business licenses. Most Washington cities partner with the Department of Revenue, so you can get your city and state license at the same time. For every city that you plan to work in, check the Department of Revenue's city page first. If you don't see your city listed, you'll want to check that city's website to ensure that you don't miss a licensing requirement. Note that many cities have tax and return filing requirements as well. For example, a few of the bigger cities like Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, and Everett have their own process, so you'll need to contact them directly. Know before you open so you can include the cost of doing business. Let's talk about trade names. What name will your business operate under? For a sole proprietorship, you can use your own legal name, or for an LLC or corporation, you can use the full name you filed with the Secretary of State. Any name you want to use other than your official licensed business name is considered a trade name. You can file for one or more trade names when you open your business, or you can add them later using the same application. Registering a trade name means that the name that you register will be legally affiliated with your licensed business entity. It's commonly referred to as a DBA, doing business as. However, it does not mean you own the name. For that, you would need a trademark, nor does it provide any assurance that you're not infringing upon someone else's trademark. Before you select a name, do your homework. The Department of Revenue's Registered Trade Name webpage has links to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and other databases. You can also do searches through various search engines as well. In building a business, you're building a brand equity. You may want to control that name, so it's good to select a name you can trademark if you choose to. Also, you want to do this research so you don't receive a cease and desist letter from another business telling you that you're infringing on their trademark and must change your name or be sued. Registering a trade name is $5 per name, plus an application processing fee. If you're registering a name with your initial business license, you'll pay $90 for the state business license application, $5 for each trade name, and potentially other fees based on the business activity and cities the business will be conducted in. If you want a trade name later, you'll pay $19 to revise your business license and $5 for each trade name registration. Related to hiring, you'll need to be ready to address these questions when you complete the application. Will you be using independent contractors? There's a lot of misunderstanding about the independent contractor relationship, so I'll address that further with the next slide. Will you hire staff in the next 90 days? If you say yes to this question, your information will automatically be sent to Employment Security Department and the Department of Labor and Industries to get your employer account set up for your business for unemployment insurance, paid family and medical leave, and workers' compensation insurance. Having the account set up prepares you for your quarterly reporting. Be aware that Employment Security and Labor and Industries will be expecting those reports, and you're required to file them even if you did not have employees during a particular quarter. There is no cost for filing a report if you have no employees, but there may be a penalty if you fail to file timely. What type of work will your employees do? Labor and Industries needs to have a basic idea of what they will be doing in order to determine the risk class and rate for workers' compensation insurance. Workers' comp covers employees who are injured on the job. Will you employ anyone under 18? If so, you'll need a minor work permit. By checking that box in the application, the information will be sent to Labor and Industries youth employment staff, who will ensure that the minor work duties are allowed and send you information regarding special requirements. If you don't plan to hire employees soon, but may want to in the future, no worries. At that time, you can just return to the Department of Revenue's website and revise your business license to become a registered employer. There's a $19 processing fee when you revise your license for hiring or other reasons. Now back to the question of independent contractors. It's not uncommon for small businesses to hire independent contractors, but often many of those contractors don't meet the federal or state requirements and are considered employees based on the law. There's a lot of misunderstanding here. It doesn't matter how many hours they work for you, how much they earn, or what you call them. If they don't pass the independent contractor test, you're required to consider them employees, follow employment laws, and put them on your payroll. Take a look at this Labor and Industries publication and website where you can go through that test and learn more. But back to the business license application, if you plan to hire independent contractors, you'll want to include that. Many businesses require additional licensing and permitting. Architects, real estate agents, certified public accountants, hairstylists, and many others have professional licenses in addition to their business license. The Washington State Department of Licensing handles many of those. Additionally, all businesses that are involved in building, remodeling, and various home improvement services are required to be registered as contractors through Washington State Department of Labor and Industries. Food-related businesses require permits from the county and health department. Those that serve alcohol must have liquor licenses from the Washington Liquor and Cannabis Board. Some are available with the business license application through this process, and some are not. Your facility may need building, fire department, or other permits with the city or county. And there are others. Where do you learn about all of these? Well, remember the business licensing wizard we described earlier? It will tell you about many of them, but you'll also want to check with your city, county, industry associations, advisors, competitors, and others. Now we will cover the business licensing commonly asked questions. First, what is a business license? The business license application, also known as a BLA, is a simplified application used to apply for many state and city endorsements, registrations, and permits. You may use it to apply for a Washington Unified Business Identifier number or a tax registration number. You can open or reopen a business, change ownership structure of business, open or close a business location, register or change a trade name. You can hire employees and apply for a minor work permit. You can add city or state endorsements to a existing business location. You can get optional insurance coverage for owners and officers of the business, and also hire employees to work in or around your home. Who needs a business license? You need a license if you meet one or more of the following criteria. Your business requires city or state endorsements. You are doing business using a name other than your full legal name. You plan to hire employees within the next 90 days. You sell a product or service that requires the collection of sales tax. Your gross income is $12,000 per year or more. Your business is required to pay taxes or fees to the Department of Revenue. Or you are a buyer or processor of specialty wood products. So what is the cost of a business license? A non-refundable business license application processing fee is required for each application received in addition to applicable endorsement or trade name fees. If you're opening the first location of a new business or reopening a business, the business licensing processing fee is $90. If you're adding an additional location to your current business, the processing fee is $0. If your business is not physically located inside city limits, but you will travel to do business in the city, a city non-resident business endorsement is required. To add a city non-resident business endorsement to an existing location, the processing fee is $0. If you are filing for any other purpose, the processing fee is $19. For example, hiring employees, registering a trade name, adding additional endorsements to an existing location. The business licensing service processing fee to renew a location for any number of endorsements in addition to applicable endorsement fees is $10. Now, where can I go to complete a business license application? There are two ways to file the business license application and form. You can do it online through MyDOR, or you can mail in the completed business license application and forms to Business Licensing Service. Online applications are typically processed in less than 10 days. It may take up to 3 weeks if you file by mail. If you have city or state endorsements, it may take an additional 2 to 3 weeks to receive your business license due to approval time. Do I have to renew my business license? If your business requires a state or city endorsement available through the Business Licensing Service, you will need to renew your license annually. The expiration date is determined when you apply and will be printed on the top right-hand side of your business license under the Unified Business Identifier, the UBI number. Business Licensing Service sends a courtesy renewal the month before the license expires. For licenses not handled through the Business Licensing Service, contact the regulatory agency listed on your license or permit. Listed here are some resources available. We have our website at Department of Revenue, dor.wa.gov. Your MyDOR login is secure.dor.wa.gov. Small Business Guide is business.wa.gov. You can also watch a business license application tutorial on our website under dor.wa.gov/manage-business/MyDOR-help/MyDOR video tutorials. Here is our contact page. Here you can mail your documents directly to the Department of Revenue. You can visit us locally. You can go to our website. You can email us at bls@dor.wa.gov. You can contact us by phone at 360-705-6741. We also have live chat available on our website. Thank you for joining today's session. Our team will be here for questions.